Hi, welcome to Edward Box Guitar Tuition. So my classic album inspection today is the Scorpions' Savage Amusement, their 1988 album, released April 18th, so it's 35 years old today. So this was coming off the back of Love at First Sting, which is the band's most successful album. I think that's an interesting album because its reputation's taken a bit of a slide in this century, really. It was very much seen as a classic, and people tend to lean more now towards the Black Art album and Love Drive from the Mufasi era. And I would agree with them. I think the difference, I think Love at First Sting has some bona fide classic tracks. Rocky Like a Hurricane, Still Loving You. And some great live favourites like Bad Boys Running On and Coming Home. But it's not quite as consistent, and the Black Art album has got a better flow. But Love at First Sting still has a kind of fairly raw production. And that's where the Savage Amusement album differs. The band spent a long time in the studio on this, and it was kind of straw that broke the camel's back with the producer Dieter Dierks. So they've been working with him certainly since in Trance, possibly Fly to the Rainbow. I don't have I can't tell you that for sure. But I think they had some kind of production deal with him going back all those years. Production deal is where a producer with a studio kind of leases studio time to the band for free, basically. They record stuff, they shop the album for a deal, and they get a cut that way, and it's a little more intertwined. I could be wrong, but I think this is the case. But this is coming the era after Slippery and Wet, Hysteria, big hits, and a lot of bands are trying to get a more polished, more commercial success. Just strange for someone like the Scorpions, I mean, the Love at First Sting album was triple platinum, probably platinum back in the day, sold very well. So they spent a lot of time fucking around with drum machines, and I think Herman Rebel wasn't even at a lot of the sessions. I imagine it was just Rudy and Klaus a lot of the time. So that, like I say, the band got tired of that working method, and they split from Dierks. The next album, Crazy World, which is actually more successful. I think Keith Olsen produced that. But anyway, what's the album like? Well, I loved it at the time. I enjoyed it. I preferred Love at First Sting, Blackout. I was less discerning then. But I was kind of interested to go back to it and go, have a good listen and see what it was like. Sorry, just checking something there. And I think this is a good record. We'll go through it track by track. I think what the problem with it is it doesn't have a defining classic track. Obviously, like I said, you got Rocky Like a Hurricane and so on Love at First Sting. Blackout's got Blackout Dynamite, No One Like You, Animal Maximum's got Make It Real, The Zoo. These are tracks that are still played live. They don't play any tracks off this. But I do think there's a couple of corkers. But let's have a look. So I opens with Don't Stop at the top. I seem to remember them opening with this track, I think, when I saw them live on this tour. And yeah, this is a really good track. It's Klaus Meine and Herman Rebel writing the lyrics. It's commercial hard rock track. It's got a really good chorus. Really good solo by Matthias, and I really like the track, and it's got nice guitar layering. I think what you notice about this album, I think the productions and the mix has really suffered from the overproduction. The drum sounds kind of big in the wrong way, as a lot of the times they are. The Scorpions aren't as guilty as other bands are from that era, but sometimes when I was listening to it on the 2003 master, it was hard to hear, maybe cut too loud, but it was hard to hear the snare sometimes and all the boom. And the guitars are quite quiet on this, a bit scratchy. And sometimes Klaus's vocals are a bit lost. It's as if they can't sort of find where they want to be. And when you compare it to Love at First Sting, Love at First Sting's got quite a big bottom end. You can really hear Francis Buchholz's bass, and you can't hear it on this very well. Maybe they've been listening to Justice for All. And the other thing is Mufasi's solos. Obviously, they're always planned. Rudy, if you're facing the speakers, Rudy's on the left, Mufasi's on the right. But he says solos are mixed very low, and just sometimes you find yourself fighting to hear it. You almost want to get the dial and turn it so you can hear it. And that's a kind of awful trait of the time of mixing some solos down. You hear that on Rat and Winger sometimes because, it's not commercial. But this is a great track. I think this would fit well in the set list. Now, then it goes into a Rhythm of Love. The mix on this is better. This is a good track. It's kind of like a ballady rocker with a good groove. It's a good song. The production's good. The drums work pretty well on this. Possibly uses drum machine on this. And then you got Passion Rules the Game. Actually, music on this is by Herman Rebel. This is a really good track. I remember them playing this live. when I saw them. Again, it's melodic. Not as good as the first two tracks, but still really good with some lovely guitar by Matthias. These tracks are all short. I mean, Don't Stop at the Top's just over 4 minutes. The other tracks are under 4. Really good arrangements. And that's something that probably used the drum machine and the Def Leppard technique. You know, they might have done it down to a click or a drum machine. It's easy to chop stuff up. Remember, these albums were recorded in a pre-digital era. Now, some albums are recorded digital, but I wouldn't fancy recording on hard discs, whatever that would entail. It's not like it is now. You know, you can cut and paste. You can chop stuff up. You know, if you wanted to do it then, you know, you kind of did it down to a click and put drums on later. Or, you know, a drum machine would provide a totally, you know, perfect time. But if someone's going to chop stuff up, they're going to edit it on tape. Cut the tape as it were. You got Media Overkill. This is a really good track. The chorus on this is fantastic. I always loved the chorus on this. I always loved Rudolph's really simple guitar part. It's kind of just chords off the beat. Really simple but great. And good. I mean, that's first 4 tracks. Really good arrangements. Really catchy. Yeah, lacking. You know, it hasn't got the 1-2 punch of Bad Boys Running Wild, Rock You Like a Hurricane, or Blackout and Can't Live Without You. Make It Real, Don't Know, Make No Promises, but it's still good. The track that finished the original side one, which is Walking on the Edge, which is just over 5. I don't like this track. It's got a catchy chorus. It's got a kind of it's got some quite funny bits in the arrangement. It's kind of a ballad. It's just not very good to me. So side 2 open with We Let It Rock You Let It Roll. Again, this is a live one favourite on the tour. This is really good. It's just got a really cool riff. It's got great Matthias, you know, when he does what I think is Jeff. I read a book, the guitarist from Annihilator. God, I've forgotten his name, but he said, you know, Matthias almost does a continuous guitar solo, and there's this kind of rhythm thing he puts in the fills on his side of the speaker, and he's doing that on this. Is really good. It's got a good chorus. And again, it's just under 4 minutes, really tight. The 7th track, this is the best track on the album. Like, if I had to pick a track where you might say, yeah, it is a classic. It's every minute of the day, every minute, every day, sorry. I love this track. It's got a really kind of hauling riff in F sharp. You know, it's got a heavy groove. Matthias does a ripping solo. The vocals, the verse, the bridge structure is really good. And it's got a great chorus. This catchy and commercial, but it's a heavy track. And this is it's a forgotten Scorpion song line. I would make sure you check it out. When I used to listen in the past, the album was finished very weakly. Recent listens, you've got Live on the Run, which is track 8. This is kind of the same thrill, the now, the sort of crazy up-tempo song where the Scorpions go a bit mad. But I quite like the verses on this. Pretty cool. Klaus has got a catchy chorus. It's not a great track. It's not as bad as I thought. You know, it's quite a decent filler track. And then I've come around to the ballad, the ubiquitous ballad finishing the album by the Scorpions. It's Believe in Love. This is 5:20. I like it. It's got a good chorus. I really like Klaus's vocals. Quite like the lyrics. It's kind of better than you'd think. So, I mean, you know, from the track quality point of view, I'd give it an 8 out of 10, but really, because the production's kind of, like I say, if you listen to it, it's kind of too thin, it's too polished, you know, it needs some balls. I think that does let it down a bit. You can't empathise his guitar. And it does lack a defining track, although I think Every Minute, Every Day could have been the song if things had gone different. So I'd probably say it's more 7.5. But when this album came out, it charted top 10 in America, did very well in Britain, but it kind of tailed off quickly. It went platinum very quickly in America, but didn't sell anymore. And I think that the writing was on the wall for bands like the Scorpions at this time who'd had big albums. You know, the same thing happens to the Rats and various other bands where they weren't kind of building on that. There were still big touring acts, but they made the mistake that they thought they had to be more commercial. And what's happening in metal at this point is going the opposite way. In the underground, Metallica is starting to get really big. In 1988, they go really, really big. And they're heavier. And, if the Scorpions, if you think of a track like Alien Nation off the Face the Heat album, which isn't a great album, but I think it's a great track. It's heavier. And I think if bands at this point had gone, well, let's kind of keep the catchiness but go heavier. But they went the other way. Judas Priest did the same. They tried going heavier on Ram It Down, it didn't quite work out. And by the time they got heavier, it was kind of too late to kind of, read between the lines, so to speak. It's just my theory. But I still think this is an album worth checking out. I'm just looking on there, 37 minutes and 19 seconds, 9 tracks. My arms just aren't. You're just not going to get an album that short now. They could have done another 2 tracks and it'd still be under 45 minutes. But, it is a good record, this. It's worth checking out. I much prefer it to Crazy World. A lot of people prefer Crazy World. And Crazy World's got Wind of Change, a signature track, and Tease Me, Please Me to still play live. But I couldn't get away with the songs on that. But it's maybe more, by that point I was kind of done with the Scorps for that time being. Yeah, Savage Amusement, 35 years old today. I hope you enjoyed that. Remember, share and subscribe. I'm always uploading these classic album inspections. Sometimes it can get a bit congested because I always do them on 30 for 40th, 50th anniversaries. So there is some busy weeks. But anyway, hopefully see you again soon, and thanks very much. Bye now.